Oh, no.
Hello, welcome to Triad and the Triad. We are so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be back. I'm feeling great, and I'm so glad for today's show. Number one, we're speaking about some very great issues. My first profession, which is mental health. I'm so glad to have that segment today. The talent today is amazing, and I'm just excited.
I am too.
Y'all excited? You guys have a seat. Have a seat. And shout out to Miss Belinda Asbury. She is not here today. Let's wish her a happy birthday, guys.
Happy birthday, V!
Happy birthday, V! And we can't wait for you guys to go. I can't wait for you to go live because I know those pictures from Greece are about to be amazing. So let's just go ahead and jump into this trending in the Triad. So please tell me, how has it been since last week? Like, you know, get any good responses from the show thus far? We're still building. We're still trying to build the page, still trying to build the brand. So we always like great feedback.
Right. So don't forget, it's an interactive show. So make sure you leave your questions, comments, concerns, interact with us throughout the show. Okay.
I'm gonna keep it real. I've had some people in my inbox that have been like, yo, like, I love Trending in the Triad. Yo, I love Tamia. Where she at? When she coming back? So literally, I had to go, bruh, we need to see your face again. See how you do that?
We actually had a conversation, guys, on the way here. First of all, I'm not going to go no further because I want to say happy birthday as well to my nephew, your son, Joshua Cottle. He is over at CH here and Dance doing his first J Brent choreography dance class.
Shout out to young
entrepreneurs. He's doing his thing. I can't wait to release that footage. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. It's special.
Yeah, very special. But I have been down a little bit, you know, little health issues, but I'm back now, and I'm so glad to be back. And we have some wonderful guests lined up for the next upcoming months. It's going to blow your mind, and I'm so glad that I'm actually back now. And if you want to be featured on Trending in the Triad, please email us, trendinginthetriad@gmail.com, if you would like to be a part of this show, because we love to highlight local talent as well as anyone that's up and coming trying to brand themselves. This is what this show is about. So please continue to support Trending in the Triad.
And understand, we're also going to jump in and start tackling some major issues. We have some segments that we want to bring forward, which is one part of the reason why today we're going to deal with some mental health, because the reality is we need to start talking. We need conversations. So
let's get into pop culture with Miss Zeal LaFleur.
Yes. So I have the T for Z. Okay. So listen. All right. So I know you guys have heard about Usher Raymond.
Yeah.
Right?
Let it burn.
All right, let it burn. I'm not gonna make fun of that man, but I wanted to take this as an opportunity to make sure that I make people aware of what's actually going on right now with STDs. So Usher Raymond has exposed a woman to it and actually settled in court in 2012 for $1.1 million. Okay, in 2012. My question is, what happened to piss somebody off to make them bring it up 5 years later?
They didn't get the check.
The payment stopped.
Yeah, the payment stopped.
Something went left. So now she's exposed it. She went unnamed in a lot of articles. However, it was his wife's bridesmaid.
And that's Tamika Raymond, the wife that he married prior to the current man, the current wife now.
Right. So with that being said, it's kind of like 50-50. You really can't blame Usher, but then it's like, I don't want to say that's what you get, because that's kind of cold, right? But seriously, so if you slept with the bride's husband and then you got herpes, who do y'all think is really at fault for? I mean, it's 50-50, both of them did it, but do you think he should receive this much ridicule at this point?
I just love these conversations. I'm a big Usher Raymond fan, like huge. I met Usher Raymond when I was 16 years old. In my mind, I thought he was my man. But I did.
Yeah.
I thought that was my man for real. He gave me a tape, a real tape. But my thing is this: whether you received the check or not, or whatever you were compensated, my thing is this: I'm pretty sure if he lawyered up the way I think he should have lawyered up, it should have been some kind of disclaimer that you were not to never discuss this. So something must have happened that she actually have came out and said or talked about it. Or it could have been someone else that actually exposed the situation. It may not have been the person that he exposed. More than likely, it was someone that either was close to her or knew about the situation that actually exposed it and sold the story to someone to get it out there.
I personally think it was Tamika.
You think so? Probably was.
She's very bitter. You know,
Rightfully
he let
so.
it burn. She moved on. He moved on. I think it's her.
You think so?
It's got all her fingerprints all over it.
Well,
I'm sure she knew.
She didn't know. She actually mentioned it in court that she alleged that he was sleeping with the woman who was his bridesmaid. That the woman that was her bridesmaid. So here's
that's
the
a
thing,
whole
though.
new spin.
It is. Here's the thing. So now, not one, not two, but 3 new women have sought after Lisa Bloom, who's also representing Black China, sought after her legal advice. So I know for a fact Usher Raymond's about to get ate up, okay? Financially. He's facing a $40 million lawsuit so far. We only know who reached out to Lisa Bloom. We don't know who reached out to somebody else.
Do you think this is going to hurt his career?
It's going to take a mean hit to fix this, but it's Usher.
Hold on. I really don't think so.
No, it didn't hurt our kids.
I mean, that's what I was about to say. Kels keeps
I
coming
love
back.
Kels.
Kels is like he's like a cat with 9 lives. Every time you think that his career is over, ba-boom, it's back. And then something else happened. Ba-boom, it's back. He's got more bounce back than anybody I know. So it was herpes. It wasn't child molestation or. Sorry.
Here's another thing. It's more common than you think. So what I've read up on, I took the initiative to do so. 1 in every 6 Americans ages 14 through 49 are infected with HSV2, which is genital herpes. And those are the people that have actually been diagnosed. So I wanted to bring this to your attention to make sure that you be responsible, number 1. Make sure that you understand who it is that you're dealing with when you go that far. And make sure you get tested. Y'all have any feedback for that?
Better yet, strap up.
You know what? Herpes, strapping up is not going to save you necessarily. Okay?
I was just about to say that.
It's skin
Because
to skin
it's skin to skin contact. You can actually get herpes. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was an infant who actually just passed of actually contracting the herpes virus. Now, we don't know if the mom had it, and actually, that's what they say. They say that someone kissed the child, and the child actually died of herpes. I personally feel like that child probably already had herpes, contracted through the mother, and that's probably what she put out there. Like, my sister or whatever had herpes, because she doesn't want to take responsibility that she actually probably gave that baby herpes. That's just my opinion.
And it could have happened any kind of way. It could have been the nurse, the doctor. If a live skin cell fall off of you and onto somebody else, they got it just that fast.
Oh, that is serious.
So it's a little scary, but you do need to be mindful. And for all y'all little dirty ones out there, make sure you take a shower, because what if you came in contact with somebody that has it like on their arm or something? But you're going 2 or 3 days without taking a shower. Y'all think about that. I know people like that for real life. Grown people.
Clorox bad.
Wash.
I have no words.
This is real life, okay? So make sure that you go get tested. Make sure that you're being responsible about who you're dealing with. Make sure you know the ins and outs first. Just please be responsible, because that could have easily been HIV, AIDS, or anything like that. It could have been just that easy.
This is a question I got, and it's I just want to know: do people actually get tested now when you get into a relationship? Now, I'm not going to speak for myself. I got married 15 years ago, okay? But now, it's a current time right now. Do people actually get tested before they make that next move these days, or you just go in for the gusto?
A lot of people jumping off a bridge in Geronimo. They just taking chances, okay? Right now, it's getting too real. Don't just take chances, y'all.
Wait for it.
She said Geronimo.
All the way up there, jumping up. You can't, think about it. Think about how these women felt.
I was waiting on this.
Yeah. You know I got a kick every time.
Yeah.
It was Usher, y'all. So think about these women. You can't really be mad at Usher Usher, you kind of got to be mad at yourself because do you really expect him to be fit? Dude, if he's stepping on his wife.
Well, this boy has been. First of all,
He done seen a lot since 14 years old.
He's been rolling with Diddy since he was 14. I mean, like, they literally had sex parties to get him introduced to that world. So this dude has been wide open forever. So it's not like you were dealing with somebody that was innocent.
Do y'all remember the Michael Vick scandal? When Michael Vick?
The dogs?
No, baby.
I'm like, hold on now. Y'all know y'all gonna step up for me. Refresh my memory.
Girl, don't you play me like
I'm
ashamed. What is it? That ain't shit.
No, back when I stayed in Atlanta years ago, Michael Vick was actually, I'm a big Michael Vick fan. This is media. Okay?
You messing up right now. I'm sorry.
But when Michael Vick was this big football star down in Atlanta, Georgia, he was the quarterback for Atlanta Falcons. He was passing the virus. Not HIV, but herpes. And women was coming out, and he was having to pay all of these lawsuits. Like, it almost bankrupted him, like, for real.
And then the dogs.
And his wife now is actually on Basketball Wives. Every time I look at it, if she come on, I be like,
God.
girl.
Be careful, y'all. It's not a game.
So that was actually some great pop culture. But I think we got some trending tea as well.
Yes, we do. I'm going to speak on something that, I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of this come up in my news feed. And I don't know, I guess because it's very popular now with videotaping fights on Facebook and videotaping pretty much anything. If you see somebody in distress, if you see somebody doing something stupid or whatever, the first thing we do instead of saying, let me go help them, is you go live. And you go to your phone. And there was a man in Florida a week ago actually died. He drowned because no one came to his rescue. There was 4 young teens actually took their phones out, videotaped this man in the middle of a lake, struggling, asking for help, screaming. Nobody came to his aid. And he actually died. He drowned. And those young men have actually been charged. They have been charged. They was not charged with, they were trying to charge them with like a felony, but I think they knocked it down to a misdemeanor. But I just think that it was awful that this young black man actually lost his life because they were so, ready to film him out there struggling in the water to get some footage on a phone that they didn't even care about this man's life. And that's something to me, I don't know, because I have a young child and I know she stays on her phone and they're always looking at funny videos and things like that, but that's something that I wanted to bring to awareness. Don't be a human first.
Right.
Don't, take a situation and you see somebody, getting their braids yanked out and, we see all this crazy stuff on Facebook. Now, don't be a victim trying to save nobody now.
Right.
Please don't be a victim. Because there's some fights I'm just going to be like, girl, don't get it messed up. But, call the police. Ask for help. Right. Call 911. I mean, not saying nothing don't make you a G. So just make sure that you're doing your part as a human being. This man lost his life, and I thought that was just awful.
I'm beginning to wonder, has social media actually desensitized us as human beings?
It has.
Because it's almost as if there's nothing new up under the sun. If you want to, you can literally go look up everything. I've seen people go live with childbirth. Like, why? You in the delivery room and you live, like, why?
I haven't seen the actual birthing part, but I've seen them actually in the room saying, girl, I'm 10 meters dilated.
No, I saw a live feed of a birth. And I was like, I didn't watch the whole thing because I didn't need the memory.
Even though you birthed for it.
I birthed for it, but my uterus felt bothered just watching somebody else's. All over social media, Facebook Live, and nah. But everything is on social media now. There was a girl, I promise you, that got her weave repoed that I saw on social. I'm sure you watched it. I'm sure you.
She wasn't making her payments.
No, what happened? What had happened was She got a sew in, and she was supposed to pay the remainder. She had a frontal. She was supposed to pay the remainder, and she didn't quite pay. So the girl saw her in the hair store. I promise you, she saw her in the hair store and cut it out. She told her, we're going to handle this one or two ways. Either you're going to take this beat down, or you go ahead and let me cut out this frontal. She cut out the frontal, took it out of her hair, and walked back out of the store. I promise you. That's why I said everything is on social media. Yeah, it was serious. And then she went back and gave a commentary on the fact that she had done it. She was like, well, you know, she was supposed to pay me an additional $50. She didn't answer my call. She didn't do none of this. So I told her when I saw her in them streets, I was going to handle it. And she did.
Wow.
No words.
So it's all kinds of stuff going on. So has social media desensitized us?
Yeah, it has. I've seen all types of stuff all over the world. There is nothing new under the sun but the power of technology. So at this point, with cell phones, it's bringing attention to everything. I've seen people get killed. I've seen all types of stuff.
Suicide.
Things that I couldn't even really watch before. Now I can look at it, I can stomach it, but it still disturbs me a little bit. I actually saw the guy drowning too. And it was sad. And what made it even worse is that the teenagers were, you know, yelling at them, calling them stupid, calling them, they were dropping N-bombs left and right, cussing them out, you know, calling them a crackhead, a junkie, all types of stuff. And to come to find out, the man he had a mental health issue. He was disabled as well. So I like to troll. So I went on his Facebook page, I found it, and dude was a gangbanger. So I know people probably, the police probably didn't take it serious because of that. I mean, he had tattoos all on his face and stuff. But the girl said he was disabled. He didn't have the ability to jump in the ocean like the officer tried to make her feel. And this is his sister who was speaking out about it. But he did lose his life. They were teenagers. They said they were scared to say anything because they were actually smoking weed. So that's why they didn't want to call the police. And then they said that their phone was dying.
It wasn't dying while you were on live.
Exactly. Okay. So now there are a bunch of fights. It's all type of stuff. Crazy stuff, y'all. Gang rapes.
Yeah.
Facebook's starting to be a little bit depressing to me. So when I see live feeds, I got to kind of read the caption before I actually look at it, or I just keep scrolling.
Right.
So you gotta watch your kids too. Teenagers these days crazy.
Letting them ride in our portals. Well, thank you so much for giving that trending tip. You know, I think we're about to move on to Tamia's favorite segment. Her favorite segment, and I get to say that it's her favorite segment. We're about to go to our business spotlight, and with our business spotlight, we're going to have Mr. Tim Vincent coming on for Ready for Change. Tim, will you come and join us, please?
Right.
So welcome to Trending in the Triad. I actually reached out to you, Tim, because we understand that you do a lot with mental health as well as some other areas. So can you just tell our audience a little bit about Ready for Change?
Just a quick overview of Ready for Change. Ready for Change is a treatment and wellness center. We provide comprehensive and integrated mental health and substance abuse services that promote wellness as well as a positive quality of life.
Okay. So tell me what that would look like. What kind of clientele would you have coming into your doors?
We serve a wide range of clients. Most of we talk about age range and a lot of times, and we pretty much service kids from the age of 5 all the way up. We deal with different things for our substance abuse. Sometimes I hate to talk about this part of it when it comes to substance abuse because we've had individuals come in as young as 8 years old that's dealing with substance abuse issues. When it comes to, you know, we look at it these days and it's more of a thing of marijuana, weed, you know, whatever the many different names, it's okay. But when you start to look at the impacts that it's having in our community and with the different age groups that we serve, it starts to come some of these questions that come up and saying, you know, what are we doing to prevent the negative outcomes that's coming from this? We're looking at young kids drinking at a much younger age now, and this is becoming a social norm. So when we're dealing with these in a lot of cases, it's trying to find out what really is going on within our community. In a lot of cases, it comes as we break that down, and it's this numbing fact. I'm dealing with things that's going on in my life, and instead of dealing with them head on, I would rather use these things that alter my feelings to try to numb it and make it go away, which is not.
Wow. I was speaking to him earlier, and a lot of people don't know that mental health is actually my first profession. And I worked as a social worker in Georgia for many, many years, therefore moving on to a mental health setting with a private agency. And I saw everything from substance abuse to, more major mental health things like schizophrenia and things like that. And I actually dealt with things like that within my own family, which actually led me to be in mental health. And if you tell me, like, if someone wanted to I have a very close personal family member that deals with schizophrenia. Do you deal with that population?
We deal with all types of mental health issues usually we do it and we run down the scale. We say from everything from oppression to anxiety all the way up to trauma and grief. Wow. And everything that comes in between. Sometimes we look at depression, we look at bipolar, and we try to say it's not a mental health, it's just something's wrong with this individual. And most of the time in our families, especially, we'll just say it, in our black community, there's such a stigma that comes along with it. We'll say, oh, that's just crazy Uncle Willie being crazy Uncle Willie.
Right.
Yeah, and you go talk to the pastor, and for my pastors out there, you can't pray it all out, because sometimes we really got to deal with it and understand. If you don't understand mental health, what are you really doing? You're trying to convince this individual that it's something wrong with them, which you're not teaching them the skills that they need to actually deal with what's going on with them. You talk about schizophrenia, and if we look at someone and really don't know, and we say, who they talking to? What they saying? And we're trying to push it to the side, and when people come around, we want to push them off in a corner somewhere. But they're not dealing with it, so now you start to look at the dual diagnosis that come along with it. This individual is dealing with a mental health, now they're dealing with the substance abuse as well, and we start to have challenges with that, and we keep wanting to push all this stuff under the rug in our communities, and it's not working for us.
That is so true. It's like, I don't know, I really, within the last 6 months, I was telling my husband, I said, what do you think about me getting back into mental health? He's all for it. He's 100% me going back into mental health. It's just I can't get away from the chair. I love doing hair. But because I do, have family members that's close to me that's dealing with it. A lot of people don't know that, dealing with schizophrenia and dealing with alcoholism and things like that, it's an actual disease. Like, if you actually research the brain of someone that's an alcoholic or someone that's schizophrenic and a normal person, it looks different. Yeah. A lot of people think it's just something that they're just, imagining and things like that. No, it's an actual, real disease that they're dealing with. And a lot of times when you're dealing with those type of mental health diseases and you have the dual diagnosis, it's because you don't know what's going on. You don't know why you're manic. You don't know why you're depressed. And so you're drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana to level out. So now you're walking around with not just dealing with one thing, now you're dealing with two things.
One of the things, if you don't mind me jumping in, I was looking at something as you talking about things trending on Facebook, and a while ago I went, me just scrolling through okay, what's on here today? And there was this guy on there talking about substance abuse. Correct. And he was like, we don't understand why people sitting there making a big deal of substance abuse. It's not an illness, it's not a disease, it's not a disorder, it's a choice. And I said, to say it's a choice is really not understanding what this addiction does to your mind. It takes away that choice. It takes away that freedom of your mind to make that choice. I hear individuals sometimes that tell me, Tim, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about is getting a drink, smoking, doing these different things. And after a while, you look, even if we want to sit there and dumb it down for a say and say, it is a choice. What about when that choice is taken away? And those are the parts that we have to look at as well and say, what's going on? How do we now deal with the person? You have to deal with the person to be able to deal with the addiction.
That's right. That's right. I could really talk to you all day, every day.
I knew this.
You are really sparking something in me, listening to you and from how I was trained, and one thing that we have to do too is we have to educate the family, because a lot of times, growing up in it, My mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 22. So a lot of times when I look back at some of her actions and things like that, then I didn't understand. But as an adult getting into mental health, it was like, wow.
That makes sense.
You know, actually learning it and researching DSM, it's like you actually have to educate the family, because that's one aspect I think that lacked in my training when I was in Georgia. It was like we were so driven to, okay, this is your case plan, this is who you work with. If they have children, you work with the children. But it's like, what about the mother? The mother of the person that's addicted, the father, the uncle, their support system. Sometimes that right there lacks. So that's one thing, I'm speaking stuff into existence right now, but that's one thing I think lacks in the mental health community is actually the family support.
Well, I think it's sometimes the family's lack of wanting to know certain things.
Right.
And I say that based on this. A lot of cases what we deal with is we're working with kids. And in the midst of this, I'm sitting there and I see kid walking through the door and I'm looking like, hey, where's mom, dad at? And I look going down the street and there go mom and dad pulling off. And I'm sitting there waving them down like, hey, we need to talk to you as well. And they don't want to deal with it. And in so many cases, I have to pull myself back because it's just like, well, I'm dropping such and such off. Let me know when they're fixed. I'm like, this is not a car. You didn't bring your child in with a flat tire, and then I'll call you when that flat tire's fixed. And then the other thing that we look at with so many times with dealing with the parents, if you start to identify that my child may be struggling with something, you may start to see me as well. I'm still in hiding. I don't want you to see me, so I'm going to stay out here, and you just let me know you deal with that, work with that, and then I'll be out here waiting. So these are challenges that we deal when we talk about the family structure. We pride ourselves on wanting to educate and advocate for the family. We even got to the point, me, myself, as well as the rest of our team, we'll go to the schools. We're going with them to connect them in the community. And in cases sometimes when I'm the one at the school with this IEP and everything, I'm looking around like, where's your mom at? I get a phone call, oh, I'm not coming, you handle it. I'm like, but you're this, I'm only dealing with this child, unfortunately, a certain amount of time during the day. You're dealing with this child every day, and you have to know how to be able to help this child and fill in the gaps that sometimes we're not fortunate enough to see. And it just kind of brings that place in it where we say sometimes it makes our position a little harder than it should be because you don't have that family support or you don't have the community involvement as well, because sometimes you're talking to the teacher, you're talking to the pastor, you're talking to whoever else this child support system could be, or even the adult support system, and due to the fact they don't understand it, we don't want to talk about it.
One of the things that I did want to go ahead and talk about, I met you in the community. And I know that there's Ready for Change, but I know you have a very, very strong community presence here in Greensboro. Can you just give us a little bit about that, about some of your community focuses that you've had?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and I was asked earlier, I was born and raised here in Greensboro, so that passion is kind of came over time of just what I saw growing up. I grew up in a single family home. I didn't have a lot of times that mail to be able to go to with saying, hey, this is going on with me. Can you help me with this? And with my involvement, it started out with me mentoring over the years. And as I started mentoring, I was working with my young males, and I started getting the times where these young females would come to me and they're asking me questions. And as being a male, it scared me because I'm sitting there like, this could look wrong, it could go wrong. So I would always sit there and say, let me invite another female in, let's have these conversations. And I realized even with our young females, they didn't have that male presence there to help them understand what those engagements were supposed to be like with a male and a female. And just sometimes even the questions that they needed to ask a male figure. As time went on, I think my passion just more developed for our community as a whole. Is looking, and we come back to what are our gaps, what are our needs within our community. We have a nonprofit as well, which is Transitioning Minds. Transitioning Minds looks at those different needs. What is it for as housing? What is it for as employment? And I always say, I tell people in a lot of cases when we're in the community, if we can't do it in-house, we're connected to somebody in the community that can make sure that we hold forth to what we say. When an individual comes in, we want to provide a holistic approach for them to wrap our services around the whole person, because if we don't serve that whole person, it kind of defeats the purpose. If I just deal with the substance, if I just deal with the mental health, but I don't deal with the other challenges that that individual is dealing with, what really are we doing? There's so many pieces that's missing, and that's where that passion that you see in the community come from. Because if I'm just in the walls, just the same thing I say with our churches, with community support, if what I do for as a church or the services we do, if it's only in those four walls, we're limited to what we can do. So our service and our duty is to come out of those walls and engage in the community that we do serve.
I love that. I love that. As far as any of your programs, could you explain to me, explain to the viewers, what is your intake process?
We make our intake process, even our referral process, very simple. Most people say, well, how do you refer somebody? Whatever's easiest for you. Even if you just say, hey, I got an individual that may need some help, here's a number, call them. That's fine. We'll call them. You say, hey, we went out in the community and done interventions at times and saying, okay, this individual won't come in to us.
Wow.
We can go out
amazing.
in the community and meet that individual if it's at school, if it's at home. If I have to go to a park, because I said, the real thing that you look at, you have to meet that individual where they are. In a lot of cases, we want to automatically take an individual where we want them to go without meeting them sometimes exactly where they are. And we miss the mark. So our intake process, we try to make it as simple and as easy as it can to make it comfortable to that individual, and also build that rapport and that trust with that individual. Because you go into so many agencies, and I say, that it's a cold field when you go in, and you can see that these individuals, they don't care about me. We try to make it as inviting as we can when they come in, so it tears down some of those walls and those barriers. So it's very simple. Give us a call.
I love that. Can you give us your contact information, how someone would be able to get in contact with you?
Our phone number is 336-907-7819. Our website is ready4change.inc.org. Real simple. Either giving us a call. Usually, we're pretty much around the phones 24/7. Email, I think my phone pretty much goes off, as far as emails coming in. A lot of times that they're coming to the website, I try to make sure they're coming to somebody. We also do provide a crisis line as well. I will give that out, because in a lot of cases, we want to deal with a crisis. We want to deal with a situation before it grows into something else. And that number is 1-800-414-4741.
That's amazing. That's like
you just gave me all my life.
That's God.
I love what you do.
You gotta keep that going, because in the Black community, a lot of people don't take heed to that. So that's your purpose. You need to keep that going, because it's needed right now, because that's what we're lacking.
So before you leave, is there anything else that you would like to say to our viewers?
One of the things she's trying to prompt me to say.
No, I'm not.
Yes, she is. It was put out, and it has actually been out there that I officially filed to run for city council.
Yes.
But in the process of me running for city council, I say there will be a big announcement that will be coming out Friday in the process of what Tim Vincent, Ready for Change, Transition in Mind, and our other community partners plan on doing for this community.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm not going to let you leave, because I see your armband, and I want you to let them know what Fresh you represent, because I'm a Delta, by the way. And I got to give that some shine, too. I want you to tell me what Fresh you represent.
Phi Beta Sigma.
Know that.
That blue and white.
Blue Phi.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's like one of my favorite interviews. I really
Moving right along, we are going to go to our artist spotlight. And I have to say this, I have some favorites too. Maybe one or two. Tim is one of my favorites, because Tim literally saved my life, but we'll talk about that later. But also, there's a good friend of mine. I call her a friend because I think she's just a beautiful spirit. But even more so than that, she's absolutely talented. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to bring forward Miss Tony Alpha Glam. And we just want to get you to know who Alpha Glam is.
special. Oh my gosh. Hi. Oh, hold on, we caught.
That's what happens when you connect.
Okay, right. Let's connect.
So, Alpha Glam, how you doing today?
I'm feeling good today.
Are you feeling real
really
good? Well, what I wanted to do was tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, I go by a lot of different names, but my stage name is Alpha Glam. I'm a performing artist. I'm originally from Atlanta. I'm a songwriter. Music is my life. That's what I do. This is my passion. This is what I do. So anybody that knows me knows that music is pretty much sums up what I do.
Okay. What do you have coming up?
I don't have any shows coming up because I've been focusing on my album, The Secret Sides of Me, that's coming out this fall. And that's pretty much it. I just been really, really focused on this album. This album is like probably 10 years in the making. So,
Wow.
And this is going to be my first album. This is my first baby. We just had the show in June and Denaja hosted.
Yes.
It was amazing, and it was my first time ever putting out my own songs. So as an artist, it's hard to put yourself out there. Not only you're putting out music that nobody's heard of, but you're like, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna love you? Like, so all those different emotions I was feeling. But now that I put it out there and it was received well, and I've received so much love afterwards, like now I know I've got to put this out now. So now even though it took so long, it was worth it because now is the time. It's the right time to come out.
I know that's right. I actually caught. I was with Denaja the early part of that day when she was preparing
Okay.
for that show, and I remember you stopped by here I think before you guys left,
Sure did.
and I was like, oh my God, please go live. So me and my clients actually pulled up the live on the computer and we watched your entire show.
Oh my God.
We did. We watched the entire show.
Wow.
I was very impressed. One of my close friends, you actually wore, I think, designs by
Solo Sean.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
He's
He
amazing.
did a show for me back in January, and oh my God, he's amazing. And when I saw
Yes.
that outfit, I was like, you have got to style me for my birthday party.
Yeah, Sean is amazing. And what's crazy is I didn't have any picture to show him with that outfit.
He's
Like
amazing.
he literally, all I said was I want something glittery, and I want something
She had glitter everywhere.
something. Yeah, and he made it happen. Like it was beyond what I could have wanted.
She was a glitter
Beyond.
princess everywhere. Everywhere. I felt like there was glitter fairy dust.
He looked amazing.
But I do want to also talk about that particular show because that particular show, I saw you in a whole different light. I've known Tony for so many years. So many years. Matter of fact, Tony used to come to my house to do my makeup and fuss at me about things. And stiletto ladies rolling around for a little while.
Yeah, for a little while.
For a little
Mhm.
while. And now, that particular show, I saw a whole new person. A whole
Wow.
new artist birth. The Secret Sides of Me, if you haven't heard any of her EP or any of her album, let me just say this much to you. It is an emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
Well written, very well executed. And I don't say that often. I love lyrics.
She does.
I do.
I never heard her say that either.
Nah,
Wow.
nah, I don't know.
There's something special. She talked about you like literally since that show.
Wow.
I've heard your
That
name
means a
at
lot
least
to
once
me.
a day.
That means a lot to me.
I won't say the rest, but anyway. But no, seriously, no, it was amazing. You're a background vocalist. The way that the show was put together was it was not a gig.
Right.
And I say that as artists, a lot of times what we forget is that you have to touch all of the senses when you're preparing a show. It's visual, it's auditory, but even more so, it has to be emotional. And you hit every point in excellence.
Thank you.
So I have to say that to you. So I'm actually looking forward to your album. I don't push everybody's everything because I don't like my name attached to all things. But I completely endorse and support everything that you have going on.
That really means
so congratulations.
so much to me. So much.
Your name is amazing, Alpha Glam.
Thank you. And
Alpha Glam.
It's a crazy story because actually, right when Boston's House of Jazz first opened, that was around the time where I started going doing my own thing solo. Like I used to sing background for a long time with Vanessa Ferguson. Y'all familiar with her? She was on The Voice. And that's how I got my start around Greensboro in the Triad. And then once I started branching off on my own, I kept hearing every time I get off stage, "You're so glamorous. You're such a diva. You have a diva attitude. Like, you're glamorous." That was amazing, I kept hearing. But then the thing is that for myself, everybody else would see things in me that I didn't see. I didn't see the glamorous. I didn't see it. I would put it on, and it would be for a show, but I didn't feel glamorous on the inside. And so the alpha part came because the word alpha means first. And so alpha to me symbolizes me putting myself first and loving myself first. And it took me a long time. At least I'm 29 now. It took me like 28 years, still counting, to get it right, you know, as far as loving myself. But that's where that name came from. So when I say Alpha Glam, it's more than just being a diva or a superstar. It's like a powerful thing. It's where I really want to empower women, especially in particular, because a lot of my music is what I go through. And what I go through is what any other woman goes through, right? Because I'm no different than any other woman. So when I write music, I hope that somebody else can hear it, even if they don't like it. If they hear just one thing that they feel like they can relate to, then I did what I wanted to do, what I set out to do.
So speaking of your music, it's my understanding we also get a performance, right?
Yes.
Yes, we know the format we're trending in the Triad. We know switch it up sometimes, but we know that we're actually going to get to hear a little bit of your song. So what I want to do is, it's my understanding you have someone with you.
I do.
We would like to bring her forward. Will you introduce her so that your audience knows what her name is? And then we're going to step away and play your music so that you can get started.
Okay, awesome. Well, like I said, I'm Alpha Glam, and my friend Jamila Campbell is going to sing with me. You're going to sing. This is going to be, it's not going to be my first single, but it's definitely going to be a single from the album.
So y'all gotta clap y'all hands for her. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring her back in all flares, because you know you can't have a diva on stage without bringing them up the right way. You know what I'm saying? As we're working through some of our technical difficulties right now. But we wanted to make sure that you know that once again, this is a completely interactive show, trending in the Triad. We love your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. We want to know what you think of what's going on today, our past shows. Give us some ideas of what you want us to do in the future. We just want to make sure that we stay connected to you. Also, if you have any questions for Ready for Change, we definitely want you to send those questions to us as well, and the things that Tim Benson has going on, because what we want you to understand is this show is all about the Greensboro community, and we're praying for it to go even more worldwide. But even in the midst, we want to make sure that we perfect what we have going on now. So talk to us. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you feel. Let us know what you like. We know everything isn't always perfect, but let us know what you don't like. How can we improve? How can we be better? And we always know how can we see Tamia on here more, because you know she's the bomb.com like that. Can we get some fashion tips and things? We want to also start to look at some women's health issues. We want to begin to talk about mental health. We want to talk about marriages and relationships, starting to make sure that we have some very, very positive things that are going on, and showing you how to do different things within our community. All right, I understand that she's ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out of the way and stop talking. Once again, you guys, put your hands together for Miss Tony Alpha Glam.
you gotta go, but you're leaving so fast, boy. Try to get away from me, but still I'm begging not to leave. I've been so naive. We go back to the same old thing. When you go, I'll say you never call, but I still wait for you to tell me that you're through with her. And with every lie you tell, my feelings get worse. Tell me how you sleep good. You create so much hurt. Got me wondering, is this what I deserve? But would it matter if I say I still love you? And would it matter if I say I still care? Would it matter if I say that I take it back if you apologize? Tell me right now before you lose me. Tell me what you want now. Why can't you tell me what you want now? Is it hard with no drink in your system? And though I pretend I don't miss them, I just wanna kiss them and tell them that I miss them. Oh, oh, but I got too much pride to say all of that now. Waiting for you to tell me that you're through with her. And with every lie you tell, my feelings get worse. Tell me how you sleep good, creating so much hurt. Got me wondering, is this what I deserve? But would it matter if I say I still love you? Would it matter if I say I still care? Would it matter if I say that I take it back if you apologize? Tell me right now before you lose me.
When the technical difficulties hit and they roll on like it's nothing. Hunty.
Did y'all hear the voice though?
The voice.
Did y'all hear the voice? Did y'all hear the riffs and all that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Honey, when she came in, I was like, hey. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun.
Thank you so much.
I gotta have me back.
Oh, really?
I love y'all.
We're gonna do a music edition. It's not gonna be nothing but music. And I want you to be one of our special guests.
Yes.
Like for real.
Awesome.
But thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in to Triad and Triad. It's been a wonderful show. See you guys next week. And follow the page to see that the guest is coming on for the next week. Okay? See y'all next Tuesday.